First of all, I'm not going to, for 1 second, try to compete with the legal experts that dominate this House. Between yourself and Jennifer Carroll McNeil, I don't know what you are talking about half the time. But I do want to put across a perspective that I think is important for the vast majority of ordinary people. Because what this is all about is removing a very offensive piece of wording in the Constitution. I'll just read it out for the benefit of anybody listening in. In particular, the state recognises that by her life within the home, woman gives to the state a support without which the common good cannot be achieved. The state shall therefore endeavour to ensure that mothers shall not be obliged by economic necessity to engage in labour to the neglect of their duties in the home. And that whole basis of a constitution brought in with the commitment of the Catholic Church behind it led to very tough lives for women, my mother's generation in particular. And many of them couldn't get married and stay in their jobs, for example. That didn't change till way into the 70s. This archaic view of a woman's place being in the home had meant that it was natural and normal and accepted that women were barefoot, pregnant and tied to the kitchen sink for most of their lives and didn't indeed have access to contraception or economic independence. So I think this is a very good thing that's been removed. But I think we should insist that we find ways of explaining that to the public, because there are malicious and dangerous elements in Irish society that will want to portray this as somehow an attack on women, that the removal of the word woman from the Constitution is an attack on women. And they're already lurking on the pages of social media and phony television stations that they've created, trying to come across as defending women and saying that this actual attempt to change the Constitution is all about giving transgender rights and undermining women and the woman's body and a woman's sex and a woman's right to do this, that or the other. I think we have to find simple, clear messages in demolishing that idea, because otherwise the government risks losing this referendum. And so it is important to get the wording right. And as I say, I'm not going to do big legal debates about the type of wording, but the sentiment is very, very important. And that's where I think when it comes to the next session, when we talk about the 42B, the new article, I think that's where you're making a big mistake in not giving a guarantee to people that care will be recognised in the home. This nonsense about strive to means nothing in real terms. Any future government could say, well, we strove, but we failed. That's just nonsense. Why do we have a constitution if we don't put parameters and obligations on governments to do things that are at the very basic level, absolutely essential for society? So on the one hand, we're changing the constitution to recognise the family, to give it inalienable prescriptive rights, all of that language that's in there already, and just restating it. And then on the other hand, we're saying when they look after each other, when they're frail and have disabilities and long-term illness, we will strive to recognise that, not that we will do it. So I think it's full of contradictions, and I also think it's pretty bad of the government and I'm not here to just give out to you, I mean, I genuinely believe that it's pretty bad to 1 week hand us the wording and then the next week say we're going to have this second stage debate on the last day of the Dáil before Christmas. It's really sloppy and it's not fair to the deputies, not fair to the public. And I think that the reason given to us for why the big rush and why we need to fit it in is because this referendum, they want to have it take place on International Women's Day. And I think it was Deputy Holly Cairns who said this morning, you don't have to patronise women by having a referendum to remove that offensive language on International Women's Day. We celebrate International Women's Day anyway, regardless of whether there's a referendum or not. It's more important that we get it right and we don't give opportunities to hate-fuelled organisations to have a go at LGBT rights or trans, the rights of trans people in this society. So those are my few observations on it. If I had my way, the alternative wording, of course, and you would say, Bríd would say that, would be a woman's place is in the revolution. Take the home out and stick in revolution and we might get real change in this country. And in that sense, I think It's an awful shame too. Deputy Batchick made the point. We have, you know, a long process of a citizens' assembly discussion, discourse, questions put to them. They take it very serious. They're very genuine about it. They come back with recommendations, and to be honest, they're just ignored. And if I was one of those 99 citizens, I'd be really annoyed. Annoyed is a polite parliamentarian word I'm using here, but I would really be in that sort of a humour. And as a member of the Joint Oireachtas Committee, I'm also pretty annoyed that the wording that we laboured over and sweated over, and again, I'm an innocent when it comes to legal terms, but I really trusted and got what others were saying and the advice that was given to us by experts, and it took us ages to come up with a set of words that we thought was correct. It was cross-party, it was very genuine, it worked hard, and it's not even recognised. So to be honest, I think on many levels this has been a bit of an offensive process. I hope that when it comes to the next phase of dealing with this, we will get a chance to amend it, and that the government will be open and decent about accepting amendments that come from the opposition, who worked, I have to reiterate, worked very, very hard to achieve a wording that would work. And later on I will come back and talk about the provision of care.